fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Thanks to all who made it out to the flea market last Sunday. I really enjoyed meeting our readers of the magazine and followers on social media. With most of our waters locked in the ice, fishing opportunities are slim. Even the party boats are shut down. Hopefully the warmer temps heading our way the next couple of days will loosen up some of that ice and we can get back to fishing. We do have a few upcoming shows. First up is the MSA Surf Fishing Show. That's Saturday, February 19th, 9 a.m. through 3 p.m., and that will be held at the Radisson Hotel in Hauppauge. The show will feature surf fishing manufacturers, tackle shops, seminars by top local surfcasters, and much more. Then March 5th, the Ward Melville High School Saltwater Seminar and Fundraiser is back. The admission is free, and there will be over 150 vendors. There are lots of raffles, and all the proceeds go to the Ward Melville High School Fishing Club. This is always an amazing show, and it's great news that it is back. For all the details, visit thefisherman.com/events or click on the card in the top right. While going through some video, I found a clip demonstrating how I work a spook-style lure for stripers. Here it is for all you to enjoy. As of recent, one of my favorite ways to fish for striped bass has been using larger spook-type plugs, working them under the arm from an elevated position. As you can see here, I'm up on a rock. I'm above the water line, which allows me to actually work the rod in this way. I found that working the rod about, between my arms as opposed to between my legs definitely gives the spook a lot better action, if you will. As you can see that I just hooked up. Now, most of the time, when I'm using these bigger plugs, it kind of weeds out the smaller fish, but in this case, when I was filming this, I did hook into a smaller fish, and it had no problem actually grabbing this plug, which shows how vicious they are when they see these things in the water. For some reason, these plugs, they definitely cause vicious strikes, and they bring up picky fish, if you will. I waste no time getting this fish in here. I don't want to stress the fish out too much. Also, when you're fishing in a scenario like this, as you can see, having a longer leader that you can grab definitely makes a difference when getting the fish up and trying to unhook them. So as you can see here, I go to bring up the fish with the longer leader, grab the plug to get control of the fish, and I proceed to unhook it. Our regular contributor Mike Dean from Shinnecock stopped in by our studio and was asked, if you only had to choose 3 lures, what would they be?
So the 3 lures that I'm never going to leave home without: bucktail, soft plastic, and a service plug, either a bottle pop or a spook. So the white bucktail, I mean, this has like always been my, it's kind of turned into like my security blanket. I have caught so many fish on these, and it's, as everyone knows, it's very versatile on which parts of the water column you can work, which is everything, the different bait profiles that it's going to mimic, and it's just one that's just always worked for me. And at first it was such a simple lure. It was one of the first lures that I used while getting into surf casting, and I've just built up a tremendous amount of confidence in it. So all throughout the season versus other, plugs lures that, are good for the spring or good for the fall, this one's straight through. Typically my fish finder, definitely a fish finder for me. If I'm going back in the bay and the water depth is going to be over like 6 feet, this is absolutely the first one that I'm going to go to. I have the curly tail on this one. I tend to use the Fat Cow eel jig, sometimes the split tail on it, but this one in the spring I've always kind of had good luck with, and it's just a real dependable one. So in the ocean I'm usually at like 1.5, 2 ounces on a really rough day, all the way down to half, 3/4 of an ounce, in those kind of back bay areas in the spring, and also the fall. And it is crazy. You get into that, elephants eat peanuts, and not that I have, my biggest fish so far to date is about 37 inches. I have not gotten a 40, 50 pound cow, but I know there's plenty of guys around that have caught, big 40, 50 pound fish on bucktails just this size, sometimes even smaller. Over to the soft plastics, everyone seems to, in the fall with the sand eels, which unfortunately didn't really have that great a run with this past season, that, it's all all soft plastics in the fall. I really like them in the spring. This is a new one that's coming out from Fat Cow Fishing that'll be available this spring. It has that whiptail, which, you know, typically I've used like a white bass assassin. For some reason, this type of tail in the spring has worked a lot better for me. You know, when I start that fishing in the bay, those are, you know, it's always been my first fish of the spring have been, you know, back in the bay, and, you know, anytime from late March, you know, until early April. And then once they kind of show up in the ocean, you know, first, second week of June is when I go over to, you know, the bucktail or, you know, SP minnow, some kind of swimming plug. But, you know, it's just the retrieve on here. It's just so versatile. You know, you can use the paddle tails as well in the fall. Use pretty much all paddle tails, which is just, you know, figuring out the retrieve speed, what part of the water column you want to be in, where, you know, on this one, it's, you know, either holding the pole, you know, the rod sideways and getting that kind of darting action on them, but always been really effective. I'm looking forward to using these new ones this spring. The third one, I really couldn't, you know, like a Sophie's Choice type of thing of which topwater plug. I've always been kind of, my favorite has been any kind of bottle pop. This is the Super Strike Little Neck, and I like the Green Eye, which is the floating one, the lightest one. Always had a lot of luck with this. You know, also a spring one, not as much, even though I've caught bass on it in the back bay, but typically that first, second week of May when a lot of the blues show up, these have been great. Even though I got to change out, these hooks are a little rusty, but that single hook in the back makes life so much easier, you know, when you are into the blues. So I found this very effective. Another kind of, you know, in 2 to 3 feet of water in the back bay in the spring when it's, you know, maybe the bite either hasn't come together yet or has been a little bit spotty. I tend to find that, you know, that the bottle pop will tend to, you know, really kind of raise some fish if they are in there. Now, I also brought along in that same category, this is Head & Spook. And this is the Chug & Spook, which you can see it has like a little bit of a, you know, concave in here. They, out of the box, they don't come with the split ring. I had that put on because I use tactical angler's clips, so a little tough to get that clip on there. But this one has a rattle. It throws a little bit of water. It tends to be, you know, kind of late spring into like midsummer when there are still some fish in the back bay, but they just need to be, you know, kind of woken up, so to speak, and, you know, to be frazzled, much like people say about, you know, they'll fish up in the Cape Cod Canal of just harassing stripers with a big pencil popper. This is almost like a mini version of it, where it's just enough water, but you still have that nice where it goes under and it comes up, really imitates an injured bait fish perfectly. This one I do have the both trebles on. I got to switch out well, both of these and put it in line here, but this has always been a good one for me. Haven't really had much luck with anything this size in the ocean, and tend to go with the dock when there, you know, are blues in the ocean. If I'm out in somebody's boat, you're working the bunker pods, it's still that same, you know, maybe a little more violent of twitches on the rod and the action that'll bring, versus like a very slow holding the pole to the side, slow retrieve, a little bit of a tug, and it really gets this action going. So when you see me out there this season and we bump into each other, these are going to be in my bag. Look forward to seeing you guys out there. Take care.
With our flying freshwater report, we have Paul McCain from River Bay Outfitters.
Well, hello, Matt. You know what? I want to thank you. I watched that video on the drone footage you had, and you know what? It gives me ideas of places I want to fish, places I have fished, and places that I've never fished. But it really gives me such ideas. I'm out here exploring right by my house. I want to go up for try for some white perch. I've done very little of it, but here's the stream that's close to my house. I figured, you know what? There's a good opportunities here. So I'm checking out all the access points. As far as the fishing goes, it is strictly the tailwaters for freshwater, or the spring creeks, Connecticut, Carls River, the tidal sections of the Carmens or the Nessequag, saltwater. Unless you get on a party boat and go for some you know, cod or ling. I really don't know because I've never done it. But anyway, there's not a lot to do, but there is a lot of tie-in flies. I actually tied up this week this little pattern called the loop fly. Easy pattern tie, great for fresh or salt. Now, mark your calendars. March 26th. The Fly Fishing Expo of Long Island is back. I'm presenting it with a good friend Kenny, and we're gonna have tires, we're gonna have demonstrations, we're gonna have casting. It's going to be a great day, great time to bring out your the youngsters. Anybody under the 18 is free, so get out there. Hope to see you March 26th. Until that next week, tie lines and go tie some flies.
This week, Paul shows us how to tie another one of his favorite flies.
Well, I'm getting ready. I want, it's crazy this weather. It's going to be hot, cold, but I got to get out, and I really, really want to try some some white perch fishing. I haven't done any. I'm looking around, I'm exploring, I'm looking at different things, and I'm tying up little tiny flashy flies for them. And one of the simplest flies to tie is called the loop fly, and it's made out of one material. It's actually made out of bills, body braid, and a hook. That's it. As far as it goes, it's very simple. You can put eyes on it if you like. I prefer not to. I'm going to use this for white perch, but I'm also going to use this for the pickerel that I plan on fishing fairly shortly. It's as long as the ponds don't freeze up completely. It's going to be a great winter. Got to get out there. So let's go to the vise and tie us up one of these. Well, Matt, this is, like I said, this is one of my easy flies. I really like tying these. And they work great for fresh and salt, and it's made out of one material. First, we're going to debarb our hook, which I did. I'll put it in here. This is a smaller hook because I'm going to use this for smaller fish. Mainly, I hope to use it for white perch. So the main ingredient is bills, body braid. That's it. This is called the loop fly. It's a very simple fly. Let's put our thread on. I'm using mono. And I'm going to tie it on first like this. And it's called the loop fly, and you'll see why. So we're going to start making loops. And on the back end of this hook, I'm going to put 4 loops. And I'm going to put a loop right here. And one on the bottom. Now, I'm going to advance my thread up. And I'm going to make a loop on the top. And they're getting a little bit smaller, these loops. It's just a progression of loops. And tie that off. And I'm going to bring my thread up. I'm going to take another piece of Bill's body braid. And make a little smaller loop. on the top. And on the side. Looks like a mess, doesn't it? I'm going to make another loop right here. I'm going to make a loop on this side. I'm actually going to add one more small little piece. And now I'm going to make 4 loops right here. One on the top. One on the side. One on the bottom. And the last one is on this side. And tie it off. Do my little whip finish. Now, because I'm using Motto, I like to do 2 whip finishes. Now, we're going to trim this. Now, you don't want to trim it like this. You want to trim it like uneven. Make sure all the loops are cut. I think I got it as well. Good. Now I'm going to take my Dr. Slick dubbing brush and you comb this out. And when you got it all combed out, you're going to take it out of the vise and trim it. Now, what's great about this stuff is, first of all, I love it. It's very flashy. It's very durable, right? But it takes markers really, really, really well. Now, I tied this up at a small size because I'm actually going to try go use this for some of these white perch that are out here. But there again, it is a simple fly, not much to it. You could tie a bunch of them. It uses one material, Bill's Body Braid. Of course, River Bay Outfitters has a full array of different colors and everything. So it's a terrific fly to tie. It works great. I'm going to use this in salt. I'm also going to use this for pickerel very shortly. So until next week, tight lines.
That's all for this week. I hope I see you right here next week at thefisherman.com.